Hi, everybody. My name is Rob Noonan. I'm one of the co-founders of Rialto Markets and your host for today's webinar, Secrets of Success, How to Achieve Equity Crowdfunding Success. I'd like to go around the horn and introduce our panel. It's an outstanding panel. I'll start with one of my own, Lee Saba. He is Rialto Markets CTO and Head of Market Structure. He brings more than 20 years of experience in the financial services industry. Prior to joining us, Lee was Managing Director and Principal at Wellington Management. There he was responsible for proprietary and third-party multi-asset electronic trading and connectivity infrastructure. He also headed the inaugural IT FinTech Working Group and was a vocal advocate for the Investor Hub for blockchain and digital research. Lee currently serves as the co-chair for the Fixed Trading community, consisting of more than 290 members worldwide. Today, he's helping Rialto establish itself as a leader in innovation within the private securities market, particularly through crowdfunding and secondary trading. Next, I'd like to introduce Bruce Lewis, President, CEO, and founder of BulletID Corporation, the pioneering U.S. tech company looking to disrupt the $25 billion ammunition industry by, as its name suggests, developing a system of identifying, tracking, and managing ammunition from its manufacture to ultimate use by harnessing blockchain technology. Bruce's company is now embarking on a $52 million Reg A crowdfunding raise with Rialto Market. Next is Douglas Ruark. Doug is president of Regulation D Resources. Based in Colorado, founded in 1999, he has helped in the preparation of over 5,000 private placement offerings. Today is one of the leading Regulation D, Regulation CF, and Regulation A SEC filing service providers in the United States. Last but not least is Dr. Joseph McGinley, founder and CEO of McGinley Orthopedics. His company is pioneering the development of a range of orthopedic medical devices to improve patient outcomes and reduce costs. Its flagship product, the IntelliSense drill, is already being used by surgeons across the US and around the world. We're super excited that McGinley Orthopedics is currently crowdfunding $40 million via a Reg A raise with Rialto Markets and helping him transform the $7.4 billion surgical device market. Now, before we get started, I want to set the scene. Last year alone, crowdfunding globally generated over $113 billion. That's a 1,021% increase from the year before. This is according to the platform PitchBook. Forbes reports the private securities market is valued at $7 trillion in 2021. It's forecast to grow to $30 trillion by 2030. There are 27 million private companies in the US alone, with less than 1% currently traded in a secondary market. So today our esteemed panel are going to discuss how they plan to achieve equity crowdfunding success and how the growth of private equity crowdfunding means more innovative private companies, increase capital growth in their investment communities, and how they make an impactful and vital change. A little bit of admin or housekeeping. We are recording this. It will be on our YouTube channel. You can access it on our YouTube channel. You can access it on our website. We're also going to email out a rewatch of the session. So I'm going to get right into the panel. I'm going to start with Joseph because I finished with him on the intros. Tell us about what's happening at McGinley. I want to go around the horn and give everyone a chance to tell us about your company, what you're doing. So tell us what's happening at McGinley Orthopedics. You guys have been taking massive strides lately, and I think it's important stuff. So over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Rob. Appreciate it. Thanks for everyone joining here today. You know, it's been exciting from start to finish. We're a true startup company. We started as a napkin sketch, and we're developing the orthopedic market to really change the standard of care and improve the standard of care for everyone. We have two classes of products that are already FDA cleared and on the market: our IntelliSense handheld robotics, as well as our lever action plates for distal radius fractures. Both of these are major products within the orthopedic industry and target really the cross section of orthopedics. If you think about where our products can be used, it can be used from anything from trauma to hand surgery to lower extremity surgery to spine surgery, across the full realm of orthopedic applications. So, we started as source funding, friends and family like everyone else does. And then we grew the company from there. We did a successful Reg D round. We raised over 20 million through Reg D financing. And now we're at a point where we need to grow our company and commercialize our products on a larger scale. So, like most in that situation, you have limited options. You can go to private equity, you can go to venture capital. You can take on debt, but debt of the size needed is not readily available. So we are looking at other options. We didn't like the options that were available to us. And since we were successful with the round D financing, we came across Reg A, thought of a Reg A, and we looked into it, and it looked extremely promising for us to take that and fund the project going forward. So we just launched our Reg A round about 6 weeks ago. It's a lot of work, but it's going well. Not only is it helping us raise funds, but it's helping us bring awareness to our products. Even on some of the webinars we posted, we've had orthopedics call in afterwards and say, hey, how can I get this product at my hospital, which is wonderful, because then we're getting a 2-for-1 on our marketing and advertising for that type of approach. So we're coming along, we're learning the process, but it has been working fairly well. With the
Joe, if you can hear us, we lost you. I didn't want to interrupt you. I didn't want to interrupt Joe because we could hear him, but we couldn't see him. But before I go on to the next panelist, one of the last things Joe said is really, I think, important is the 2-for-1 marketing. You're marketing for your own company as well as your fundraise. So it's really a benefit. Joe.
Yeah, hey, sorry about that, Rob. I'm actually at an orthopedic meeting and on the hotel Wi-Fi. So I was just down, at a trade show earlier today and then doing this. So apologize about that. The Wi-Fi is
that's okay. Thank God we have the technology to do things this way. So we did hear everything that you said, and like I said, we couldn't see you, but now we can. But the important thing is that we heard you. Yep. So that's good. Next, I'd like to go to Bruce and BulletID. You're really looking to make an incredible difference. Can you tell us, the audience, about your company, yourself, etc.?
Yes, there's a shooting every day in our cities. BulletID has a solution to help resolve it. Every day, or in almost every day, 4-year-old kids are being killed by stray bullets, either in the playgrounds or at birthday parties. BulletID has that solution. We have to do something about it. How many more kids have to do this? Again, playing in a playground, etc. How many more classrooms and mall shootings do we need before we do something about this? You cannot control the gun. There's too many out there at this time, but you can control the bullet. Just remember, a gun without a bullet is a paperweight. We have the technology solution. BulletID has developed the latest bullet blockchain technology to create a solution that serves manufacturers, law enforcement, and military. The vast majority of ammo available today is untraceable, meaning that the industry suffers from a chronic problem of no inventory, no tracking, fundamentally no accountability. Untraceable ammunition also damages the police's ability to solve many evidence incidents of gun violence. Microstamping a bullet onto each bullet may be an invaluable tool in the police arsenal, as it would allow them to trace the bullet's owner, sales history, including helping the police more effectively solve the homicides. BulletID would help tackle this black market. With BulletID technology, police find bullet at a crime scene will know in 10 seconds who owns it, how many more police have to die before we do something about it. This operates anywhere in the world within 10 seconds. United States gives millions of bullets to foreign countries on the aid bill. We're finding that this ammunition that's given away free are found in the hands of the terrorists. And our own soldiers are being killed by our own ammunition. BulletID has the technology to stop this right away. Help us. How do we do this here? Armies are running out of ammunition. In 2008, NATO found themselves in Afghanistan with 20 days left of ammunition. This is impossible. This is unbelievable. But I have Major General David Fraser, one of my advisors. He was a general in charge of all that. He still can't believe it. He still has nightmares about it. This isn't a new situation. In 1950, when the U.S. Army came out of Korea, one of the commanders said, and we don't know how much ammunition we ever had, and it's the most scariest thing. There's an article written about that. We've shown this to 300,000 law enforcement and military around the world, and they all agree with us. So why isn't someone doing something about this? How many more shootings do we have to have before someone steps up to the plate and says, there's this company out there, there's a solution. Why don't we talk to this company? I don't understand that. This isn't an old situation. 141 years ago, you all remember the OK Corral. It was a gunfight there. So don't think that today we're in a gunfight ourselves with BulletID versus this whole world. There's an election in 2 weeks. Go to the social media. We have the solution. Why aren't they doing something about it? Ask your member of parliament. There's the solution. Everybody else is looking for it. The police, everybody. Why isn't someone looking at it? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bruce. Doug, I'm gonna go to you last. The first question when issuers come to me is who do you have to do your offering prep? Because if you don't have an expert, it turns into a long experience. Tell us about your company and how you help people, hopefully starting from the beginning of their fundraise.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Rob. So I'm Doug Ruark. I'm president of Regulation D Resources. We're a 23-year-old firm that specializes in SEC filing preparation, general offering preparation, and we also have a technology side of the business where we can build and deploy investor raise portals. So we've got a pretty unique business. I think ultimately when you look at how these offerings are being prepared now, obviously you need your filing work done. You need all that submitted properly to the SEC. You obviously need good general guidance on how to get through these processes. But you need technology as well. And I think ultimately then, the fact that we've got everything under one roof where we're able to, get the filing work done, but we're also able to build the raise portal is critical. And so it's really been fascinating as somebody that's been doing this since 1999 to watch the changes and see the changes not only in the rules, but also the technology. The technology backstopping these offerings these days is amazing. And so our firm is here really as in a way a quarterback also to really kind of coordinate everything and really work efficiently to get the client to the finish line so they can launch their raise.
Yeah, it is crucial what you do. If you don't get that right from the start, like I said, it turns into a long journey. I'm seeing some questions come in from the audience. We'll get to those shortly. Feel free to keep asking questions in the chat. Again, a little bit of admin. If we don't get to your question, we will do our best to email you and get you the answer. But the first question I have is for Joe McGinley. Tell us, there's a few parts to this question, but tell us why you chose to do a Regulation A round. You have an active investment raise of $40 million. Tell us your plans for the use of the funds and what are some potential exit strategies for the company. Lastly, I know that you have bonus shares available now, and I want to make sure that you talk about that because it is important. I believe it's ending soon.
Yeah, that's correct. So our raise can be found at invest.com. So we have all of our associated material there. As a company, we have public studies. But as far as doing the Reg A round, we saw it as an opportunity to not only market and increase our investment, but also market to orthopedic and market to patients. Patients have a say in their healthcare, and patients can determine where they go for healthcare. Like no other time in history. So, we're bringing an awareness to our product across the board and at the same time funding our company. From a strategic standpoint, we're cutting out And we're cutting out private equity, we're cutting out venture capital, and we're taking the investment essentially exclusively from Wall Street. And that's been well received. And, people talk about differences in wealth and everything else. Well, now you have the opportunity. You can invest in an early stage company like you've never had before. Even in our Reg D round, minimum investments were pretty high. I mean, our minimum investment in our Reg D round was $50,000. Transitioning to Reg A, we're able to lower that significantly. Investment is just $100. So it opens it up to really anyone. So anyone would have the opportunity to invest in a private stage company. And by doing so, it allows us to maintain management control of the company. And the investor has more meat on the bone. So their investment has more potential. Sure, there's risk. There's risk with any investment, but the upside is there's still a lot of upside there for individuals coming into the investment. So Reg A has been great for us so far, and that's our
with the fundraise. You said a lot of great things there. Opportunity is a great word to me, and giving people the opportunity to invest earlier. We looked at the last 100 IPOs, and 87% of them are down. If you bought them all, you're down 40%. They IPO at the end of their growth. So it is, like you said, every investment is risky, but one of the things I like about what we're doing is we are giving everybody the opportunity to invest in really interesting early stage companies. Joe, do me a favor, because you broke up right in the beginning a tiny bit when you were saying the website where people can find your offering. Can you repeat that?
Yeah, again, apologize about the web connection. It's invest.mcginleyorthopedics.com. And that's where all of our, our SEC application, our documents, all of our studies, videos with the product being used in the OR, all of that's there. And you mentioned bonus shares. Yes, obviously we encourage higher level of investment. So there's bonus shares for the more risk you take, the more shares you get out of it. And we really want people to be part of the company. We want them to be team members of our company.
Great. Thank you. Doug, I'd like to go to you. Do you think that companies yet have fully realized the potential of crowdfunding? And what is your key advice to a company to make their raise successful, other than starting with you?
Yeah. First of all, I think companies are starting to get it. Look, a lot of these changes that have occurred are fairly recent. You had the Jobs Act of 2012, but it wasn't until a year and a half later that all that stuff hit the federal record. You had the changes to Reg A in 2015. I mean, I have a lot of people that call into my firm that are like, what's this Reg A? Like, why is everybody all of a sudden doing Reg A's? It's like, well, there's been changes made to that program. Obviously, they've been around for a little while now, but major changes that obviously have created a program that is going to mimic the investor acquisition potential of a full-on public offering without having to go through a public offering as far as the traditional sense. So I think ultimately, that's what's so important about podcasts like this, is getting people to understand the capabilities now. I've been doing this since 1999. I remember the old school days of traditional old private placements where you couldn't generally solicit anyone. You had to have pre-existing relationships. There was no technology. You didn't have raise portals and stuff like that. And I think what's really fantastic is, first of all, getting an opportunity to work with people like Joe McGinley and, helping them through this process, but then seeing them be able to go out with a social impact type deal, which, especially with MedTech is, and then being able to really incentivize their affinity base and build an affinity base that's going to not only support them, but obviously be able to own equity in the company, be able to participate with the company and support a company that's out there, that's going to have products and technology that is social impact. And so, prior to 2015, I mean, that just really wasn't going to be available for a company like Joe's. I mean, he could have maybe gone and done like a 506c Reg D, and they obviously have done some Reg D rounds. But so I think ultimately people are getting there. Another perfect example is these direct issuance Reg CFs. As you know, Rob, we've done a bunch of them with Rialto as the broker-dealer intermediary partner. They're fantastic. I mean, so, for a lot of these companies where their investor base is going to be non-accredited, a lot of non-accrediteds, and they need to be able to generally solicit, but they maybe don't want to go through a full-on Reg A yet. These direct issuance Reg CFs are fantastic. It's basically going to give them a mini Reg A plus as far as capabilities. So I think people are starting to get it, and I think credit to firms like Rialto trying to get the word out that times have changed. I think also the technology piece. You do a Reg A. I mean, you go to Joe's Raise website right now, okay, and you hit that invest button. 3 minutes later, you've invested in Joe's shares and you're moving on with your day. Go try it. So that's the other thing that I think is amazing, is the fact that the technology is there, that if I want to invest in Joe's deal, it's 3 minutes. It's blockchain based technology, recording everything. I mean, it's fantastic. On the race success side, there's a lot of things that I think really step into that dynamic. The first thing is I think ultimately you want to get into the proper program. There's a number of programs available that you can file under. That's obviously a big benefit of working with a firm like ours, is that we can give you some guidance there. We can guide you on what do these programs look like, what are the costs and timeframes, what are the additional vendors you're probably going to need, what are the capabilities of these programs. I think the second thing is putting a good team in place. Ultimately, it takes a team to get a client through the filing process and get prepped and get launched. It takes a broker dealer there making sure that all the compliance is happening properly, and it takes marketing. And I think that's the other thing too, is having a good marketing team in place to help you get the message across. I mean, that's really the key thing. I go to a Raise website, the message has got to get across to me. It's got to hook me. I got to understand, what is this opportunity and why do I want to be a part of this company? And then I think ultimately it also comes down to something like valuation and terms, right? That's also where that team mentality can help. My firm, Rialto Markets, right? I mean, like there's resources then there to help that client on things as simple as valuation. You want to go out with something that's going to be reasonable. And then ultimately too, some of these other little quirks in these programs that a lot of people might not know about, like bonus shares, like what Joe's running right now with the McGinley offering. And, if you get in early, you get bonus shares. A lot of people don't realize you can do that with these offerings. So I think ultimately, in answering that second part of the question, there's a number of pieces there. I think it does start with putting the right team in place, because you need to get good guidance to go through this. It's not just the prep piece, but it's also the marketing piece, so you get exposure for your opportunity and have a successful offering.
Yeah, thank you for all of that. Something that you said early on is the education, and that's something that I really enjoy, and Rialto really enjoys and focuses on. And that's why we do these, and we have a Knowledge Hub page. We call it the Knowledge Hub, and have videos and articles, and we're never going to stop doing that. We really enjoy it, but thanks for that. Lee, I've left you alone long enough. The success of the Jobs Act is really great. Where do you see areas for improvement or proposals that are on the horizon?
Yeah, thanks, Rob. Yeah, there's a lot of things going on, and there's still some work to be done. I think Congress is starting to fine tooth and understand it a little bit more now that we're over 10 years now into the Jobs Act. They're starting to tweak it a little bit. I don't think you're going to see anything in the near future, like this year. But there's been a proposal out there. They're calling it Jobs Act 4.0. There's some things around, preempting blue sky for secondary trading. That is a big hurdle. There's a lot of registration and tracking that needs to happen for secondary trades. Improving accredited investor qualifications is another big one, and it's basically just trying to make private investments more accessible to the general public. Because now if some folks are aware, the accredited investor definition is a little stiff and a little rigid, but there's and it creates quite a few limitations for folks. And I think one of the more important ones here, at least one of the ones I like, is allowing these investments to be attached to your retirement savings. Your 401ks, your IRAs, to hold private assets is huge. I mean, it really opens up the door, and it's really great to see. And I hate saying this all the time because you hear it from a lot of folks, but the democratizing the access to these, these great entrepreneurs, we see Joe and Bruce just doing unbelievable things. And now you get, before 2012, it was illegal for you as a non-accredited investor to access this.
Yeah.
Now you can, and it's just it's mind-boggling to some extent, but it's great to see, and it's great to be part of it.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you so much. Bruce, I'm going to ask you a question, and then I think we're going to move over to some of the questions that are coming in from the audience. My question to you, Bruce, is at what stage did you realize a Reg A Plus offering was the right avenue for your growth, and what advantages does crowdfunding offer that more traditional methods don't?
The BulletID started with an idea in my hand. The investments came from family and friends and people who care about the safety of our world. That helped the idea become a reality. We then took the BulletID technology and all the software, and we built our first prototype, and we are just finalizing our very first sale, and we're looking for more funds to help build the inventory and market our company. And Reg A Plus was a much easier way to attract the people that like the story, that are fed up with the daily shooting, and everyone in the world knows someone who's been shot or knows someone who's involved with this daily shooting, etc. So going forward, we have a great model for our marketing, and what we're going to do is we're going to be like a toll road. We're going to put in our technology, hardware and software, and we're going to charge a per fee for Bullet, and that fee, when it's downloaded to the end user, really costs them nothing because of the intelligence it gives them. For example, inventory control. They will have total inventory control anywhere in the world within 10 seconds. The police will have unbelievable technology to find out who owned that bullet when they shoot it, and that's what Reg A is doing for us. So it's easier to sell it to someone who likes the story, who believes the story, who's experienced the story, and is tired of everyday shootings in these schools and malls. And for that, we thank the Reg A Plus platform for allowing us to do this here, and away we go.
Yeah, it's really great. Thank you. There's a lot of questions coming in for both Bruce and Joe. We seem to have lost Joe again, but that's okay. Bruce, it's a simple question. Do you have any affiliation? Does the NRA support your company? John is asking that question.
No, we have no affiliation with the NRA. And besides, we don't care. We don't care about the guns. You can have as many guns as you want. All we do is we serialize ammunition. We don't know who owns that ammunition. We only know if it's found in a place where it shouldn't be or in a crime scene. And then the proper authorities will be able to dig into it and find out within 10 seconds what it is. Furthermore, the police love this program. We've shown it to all over the world. Half of the NRA is police officers.
Yeah, and George is asking, while I'm speaking to you, do you need political support to be viable? And I think you need more support from, correct me if I'm wrong, but the police and other groups. But if you could talk about that, please.
If we would like political support. Everybody, including the police, have said to us, this is great. And we asked the famous question, why doesn't someone do something about it? It's a natural to do something about it. Listen, the police men and women get up in the morning and they go to work. They don't know if they're coming home at night. In midday, some nut goes out there and shoots them with a gun. We have that technology. We can stop that technology, and yet no one is doing anything about it. It just doesn't make sense. They'll all agree. Go and ask a police officer on the street. He'll tell you the same story. It's the best situation, period.
Yeah. Joe, you're back. Question to you from Barry. How big is the addressable market, and what are your timelines to profitability?
Yeah, this is a multi-billion-dollar market. U.S. alone's over $4 billion for just the two product categories that we have on the market. I know someone asked about the number of FDA-cleared products. Technically, we have 5 FDA-cleared products. Those are in 2 families of products, and we have over 6 in the pipeline at various stages of development. So a very large market. As far as profitability, we already have revenue. That's why I'm here at the hotel, pitching the orthopedic surgeons downstairs in the conference room all morning. So we already have early sales, but profitability as a startup, as you're growing, profitability comes later. So that'll depend on how quickly we can upscale and how quickly we can grow our sales team and penetrate the market. The threshold is fairly low. The medical market in particular is very lucrative for medical devices and products, and these are common orthopedic procedures. So it's not just trauma and fractures, but pretty much anytime you're drilling through a bone, whether it's for a hip replacement for an acetabular cup or a spine fusion or a lengthening procedure of a bone, these are extremely common everyday orthopedic procedures that our IntelliSense drill is being used. Same thing with our distal radius plates. That is the most common fracture worldwide is a wrist fracture, distal radius fracture, and that's so our threshold is low. But again, as we're growing the company, there's a large spend on R&D. There's a large spend on growth of the company. As far as exit strategy, acquisition is by far the most likely way that we transition the company. You're looking at the largest players in orthopedics that would be potential targets. You're looking at the Stryker, Johnson & Johnson, Zimmer, Medtronic. These are multi-billion-dollar companies. So we fit right in their product portfolio lines. That's the most likely exit. But with the Reg A, we have options. We can continue growing to profitability. We have the option to take it public if we need to. We can sell off assets. We can license assets. So it gives us a lot of flexibility as far as how we grow the company and how we ultimately bring a return on investment to those that invest in our company.
That's great. Thank you so much. Doug, I'm worried that this is more of a lawyer question, but Daniel says, does a crowdfunding round satisfy the qualified financing event language in order to trigger the conversion of a safe or convertible preferred note?
I think ultimately that's going to depend on what they have defined as a qualified financing event, because ultimately that could just depend on whatever the language was. Because ultimately, when you're looking at something like that, there could be different triggers, and a lot of that could just depend on what they've built into that safe or that note as far as what technically is going to qualify as a conversion event.
Yeah, from my seat, it also depends how you set up the raise. Is it equity? Is it debt? Is it? Yeah, thank you for that. That's a hard question to answer without knowing a lot more details. There was a question for Lee from Barry. Can I ask a question to Lee about Rialto Markets? What do they bring to the ecosystem and its technology and infrastructure? How does it work?
Sure. Yeah. No, that's a good question, and something to understand. Rialto Markets, we're in a few different business lines. Obviously we do a lot of primary, issuer work, and we also have secondary trading. So I'll call that the on-ramp and the off-ramp technology that we provide, along with some regulatory oversight. So working with groups like Doug's, and he's talking about the team effort there. We are a team, and it does take a few team members to run through that. So our technology on the primary side really is around onboarding and processing investors. I think it was you, Doug, that mentioned in 3 minutes you could start investing in Joe or Bruce's company, right? You can walk through the paperwork, and it's all done online, and we provide a lot of functionality around that. And that also collects payment, and so we provide the payment infrastructure around those pieces. And obviously, working with your custodian or transfer agent to track the cap table about who's on there. On the secondary side, we do the same basically, but we can facilitate the buying and selling of of shares. So if you missed it in the primary, guess what? You might have an opportunity now in the secondary. If you wanted to, provide some off-ramp, functionality, maybe you bought it, in an early round and got it cheap, and now you want to sell. There's an opportunity to sell that position. So yeah, I mean, those are two of the main areas: on ramps and off ramps, and then we also provide some white label servicing for both of those product lines. So you can, as a portal or as a portal that wants to provide secondary trading, we have technology that can be embedded with our oversight.
Yeah, from the investor's point of view, Lee, I really like that they're able to monetize on their timetable, not the timetable of the company. They don't have to wait 12 plus years for the company to go public, which is, I think, the average over 12 years.
That's right.
Doug, this is a question that's coming from me, actually. You've been doing this for a long time. You're excellent at it. Give me your view of where we've been and possibly where we're going. So kind of like the ghost of Christmas past and future.
Sure. Well, it's funny because we lobbied the SEC for a long time, and I'm talking, 03, 04, 05, to change the rules because, we were stuck under these old archaic programs. We were stuck under the old Reg D programs where there was no 506C option, for example. There was no Reg CF at the time. Reg A was the old Reg A where you had to get qualified at the federal level and then qualify in every single state you want to sell in. I mean, there's a reason why there weren't a lot of people using Reg A. It was cumbersome. Ultimately watching the internet develop and watching social media develop. And, we are sitting there thinking, what an amazing tool to be able to go launch an offering and to be able to go out onto a social media platform like a LinkedIn or a Twitter or a Facebook and say, hey, we're raising money. Here's the opportunity. Come participate with us. And, for obviously all the way up until 2013, when everything hit the register for the Jobs Act, you weren't able to do that. And I think what was frustrating was, it helps companies. When you help companies aggregate capital, you're helping them grow. You're helping them achieve objectives. You're helping them hire new employees. You're helping them expand. You're helping them raise their revenues and pay more taxes. So what was interesting was watching the government keep these old archaic rules in place, and it was precluding growth for private companies because those were the programs they really kind of had to go through. So I think the Jobs Act was huge. I will say that it was funny the first time I had a client launching under 506C, and they were like, well, so now I could go on my corporate website and tell people they could invest with us. And I was like, yes. And, for so many years, it was like, no, you can't do that. Right. So, and then I think too, you then obviously the changes with Reg A in 2015, but I think the big thing to me that's exciting, yes, the rule changes have been, seismic. I mean, huge. But the technology piece, now, because a big part of this is getting people to feel comfortable with the fact that they're going to go through a regulated process to buy shares in a private company, and there's a comfort level there. There's a 50-state licensed FINRA broker-dealer on board. Rialto Markets is on board. Okay, I feel comfortable right out of the gate. Oh, there's a transfer agent on board. Okay, so there's a third-party transfer agent recording who owns my securities. Oh, there's an escrow account in place, right? So all of these things build confidence with investors. And I think then when you start then marrying in technology where you got a 3-minute investment process, and it's almost like going to your E-Trade panel and going, yeah, let me pick up 1,000 shares of that. That's huge. And I think ultimately then too, you have a lot of people that, as Lee had said, were locked out for so long where, like the Shark Tank shows where they've sat and watched that like, well, I would have invested in that, well, now you can. And I think that's the fun part about this. You talk to anybody that's been in the business for a long time, we're all just have big smiles on our faces and are super excited because it's fun to see this now. We should have had this, in my opinion, in 07, 08. We have it now. And I think that's the thing look, Lee said it, the word's overused a bit, I think, democratize access. But it is that. It is being able to go to the second grade school teacher down the street or the oil and gas oil baron up the street. It doesn't matter now. It doesn't matter if they're accredited or non-accredited. Everybody can participate. So, and I think where we're going is watching I think we're going to continue to see the programs get better, because I think what the SEC is seeing is, hey, there are the Rialto markets there, and they are backstopping this stuff, right? And there are transfer agents with high-tech systems now, and so I think what they're going to see is okay, this does work, and there are protections in place, and we can maybe loosen that accredited investor definition a little bit, and we can maybe up the ante on Reg A, for example. Let's take it to 125 million per year. So I think you're going to continue to see the rules ease. I think as the bureaucrats in DC see that the world's not ending, that we're letting non-accrediteds put some money into a company, I think that you'll continue to see progress there.
Yeah, and I think the days of diversifying equity and debt 60-40 or the split is over. You really should probably be diversifying into some other alternatives, and now you have the opportunity to do it. Bruce, I asked this question of Joe, but Barry asked both of you actually. What are your timescales to profitability?
Well, we're in the process of delivering our first machine. We're just getting all the paperwork ready to go and whatever qualifications we need for the country. We should be profitable within a year and a half.
That's great. Joe, there were some pretty specific questions on here. Barry asked, I had an issue with a cranial application. Is this something McGinley will add to their existing innovative tools?
I don't know Barry's last name was on there, but we're actually working with a gentleman named Barry who is looking at applying this to cranial applications for intraventricular shunts. So we're out in Hershey, PA, working with this particular company and group, also a startup company with a unique idea. And our technology is showing excellent promise to be compatible with this particular device to make it safer to implant for cranial applications. So I don't know if it's the same Barry we're working with, but yes, we are working on cranial applications right now. And yeah, we're looking forward to expand that as unique inventors and ideas come to us with potential applications for our technology.
Thank you. Lee, I think this is from you. For you, this is Robert. Do you have to use a crowdfunding platform? Of course, we're not a platform. We're a self-hosted solution. So maybe you can go into the differences. And are there other ways? So maybe just go into a little bit of the landscape.
Sure. Yeah. There are, broker dealers, under the Jobs Act, there was two new, folks that are allowed to help and assist with this crowdfunding. One is a broker dealer, which is, obviously registered with the SEC and FINRA. The other is a portal exemption. So you can become a portal, without being a broker dealer. It's almost, I guess I'll call it broker dealer light. You don't have quite the onerous abilities to that we would say as Rialto as a broker dealer, but you can still facilitate the crowdfunding. So those are the two main things. The other thing with a portal, if you wanted to create a portal for yourself or start one up, that does not allow you to have secondary trading. So, the difference between ourselves, Rialto Markets, and a portal is that they can't do or facilitate, the buying and selling of shares. That's something that we can do with our ATS approval. So, those are at the macro level, really the kind of two big differences that I see. I'd be curious to see if Doug has any other perspective on that.
Yeah, I think ultimately the change they made in March of 2021, opening the door for FINRA broker dealers to serve as intermediaries, was huge, because really what happened then is it does allow you to kind of run your own raise portal. Now, granted, the domain and the website are going to be owned and managed by the broker dealer. They are the intermediary, but that doesn't mean that you can't create a custom site then for that customer. And obviously that's what we do. We've obviously done a bunch of them with Rialto. And like I said, you kind of get a mini Reg A plus because the investor experience is very similar. They're coming to a raise portal that was custom built to run your raise. There's no other deals on it. running on a domain of choice for the customer. Granted, Rialto owns that domain, and they technically own the site. The site's custom built for the client. I think the other benefit too is the technology that's backstopping these kind of direct raise CF portals. It's your data, and I think that's the other thing too is you don't lose control of your data. So if you drive 10,000 prospects into that portal in a month, all 10,000, that's all your data. Whereas with a lot of these CF platforms, where there's 400 other deals on there, you pump 10,000 prospects in there, you get 200 investors. Okay, great. There's 200 on your cap table. The other 9,800, you don't have access to that data. It's not your data anymore. So I think there's some really unique benefits to this direct issuance CF model. And again, it's an educational thing. I get a lot of people that call into my company and they're like, well, if we do a CF, we have to be up on a Start Engine or a Republic. And it's like, no, actually, you don't have to. We can build a raise portal for you that a Rialto will own and manage, and you can do a direct issuance CF that way.
Yeah, the data.
Yeah, and the other angle to that too, Doug, is that you're not competing, right? If you're, I don't know, a soda manufacturer, right, and there's 5 other soda manufacturers on one of the portals, you're going to the soda manufacturing tab and you're competing. Yeah. For your money's competing for investment right there. Whereas with our model, we direct you directly to your website, your page, your construction. And it sounds minor, but it's actually quite important.
It is.
Yeah.
And it was said, I think, by Joe in the beginning, the marketing, you're getting a 2-for-1. You're not spending marketing for people to come to the Rialto site, which is fine. And you get to tweak your own marketing dollars. That people are coming because you have ads on one platform or the other. It's very helpful. A question. I'll start with Bruce, and then I'll go to Joe. What are the biggest barriers to entry? You guys are in very, very different industries, and the barriers to entry, I'm sure, are very different. So, Bruce.
Well, it would be a slam dunk if the government said we've had enough of the shooting day in and day out, and we'll legalize it. That would be a slam dunk. However, besides that, the barrier. What? Repeat that question again, please.
Sure. The barrier to entry for your company. What's the biggest barrier to entry if someone else were to try to do what you do, which is, I know, is you do something extremely unique.
We do something that's unique, that's never done before. We have software technology. They will never duplicate this technology. We work on it every day, and this is like a 4-year nonstop project to make it happen. So there is no one out there that's going to duplicate our technology. We have the finest software engineers that we can have. Our chief technical officer, Christian Talley, is one of the best. He's a pioneer. He's an entrepreneur. He's a computer engineer, and he developed this software program, and it works flawlessly everywhere. It's perfect. So yeah. Good luck to anyone trying to copy that technology. It won't happen overnight. If it happens at all, I doubt.
Yeah, a lot of people think things are easy, and they're not. Lee mentioned the ATS. I wish we could.
I'm sorry?
Go ahead, Bruce.
And it won't happen overnight. And it won't happen with putting in $10 or $50 or $100,000.
Right. Doug, well, Joe is logging back on. I'll give you a layup. Can you expand on the difference between a Reg A and a Reg D regarding raising capital?
Oh yeah. Well, there's significant differences there. Look, a Reg D is certainly fine in certain situations. I think what we're finding on the filing prep side is that a lot of the Reg D stuff now is what I would call pre-syndicated type deals, meaning, hey, Doug, I've got 10 accredited investors lined up for our infill site development project, and we just need, we need an offering to process these membership interest sales, but we're not going to really need to go out into the public domain and raise money. And in that case, then something like a Reg D 506C would probably be a good fit. The big difference is, I think a lot of it is in the sophistication standpoint. A Reg D, You're basically drafting up some offering docs, and there's a very, cursory notice filing that's going into the SEC. There's no qualification process. There's no requirement to have a broker dealer on board. There's no requirement for audited financials. And, so look, the simplicity is a benefit in certain cases, but I think that simplicity can also be a negative in that, look, if I go to a Reg A offering as an investor, and again, it drives back to what I had said before, that confidence building aspect of the fact that there's a, Rialto Markets on board as broker dealer, and there's transfer agents on board and escrow, and this is an SEC qualified offering, and there's audited financials involved. Yes, I mean, obviously it's a bigger lift to put a Reg A in place, but you're getting a much more sophisticated vehicle. So I think then on the Reg A side, what's the big difference there? Well, it's a quasi-public offering. It's a public offering of private securities. And at the end of the day, the filing work is akin to an S1. You're going to have audited financials. You're going to go through an SEC qualification process. You're going to have a broker dealer on board, or at least you should. You rarely are ever going to see a Reg A execute without a broker dealer on. So I think it really does come down to the situation. If the clients maybe pre-syndicated the deal with some accredited investors and they just need a simple vehicle, they could go the Reg D route. I think ultimately, if they're really looking to democratize access, if they want to be able to sell to everyone, then Reg A is going to be a better fit. Yes, it's a longer road and a little bit more expensive road to put one in place, but you're getting a much more capable vehicle to syndicate capital.
Yeah. Joe, back to you. The question was the biggest barriers to entry, and I'm interested in your answer because you're in a highly regulated industry.
Yeah, thanks for that. And again, apologize for the
problem.
internet stuff. I'm here trying to make us profitable. This is one of the consequences. And to tag on that question, I think Greta asked it regarding patents and IP. I should have touched on that earlier. As an engineer, my background's in engineering and medicine, and our company has over 125 issued and pending patents, which is more than most orthopedic companies on the market. We have a lot of protection in IP around our products. But as far as barriers to entry, it's established customers, established relationships with administrators. To the same effect that, for acquisition, the big players in the market are our target partners. The flip side of that is they already have very dominant relationships with hospitals and surgeons. And although these other companies, none of them have the technology and products that we do, that's not to say that, we're automatically accepted in the hospital. So, we have to establish a contract. We have to establish a relationship. We need a surgeon champion. And then those established companies aren't going to just sit there and say, okay, we're going to let this company start taking our profit, start taking our sales. They're going to try to combat that however they can. That's really our biggest obstacle to entry is players in the benefit for transactions at the end.
Great, thank you. I'm going to ask a couple more questions, and then I'm going to ask you all to kind of go around the horn again and give your last thoughts or asks. Lee, I'm going to ask you from Richard. I am an architect building affordable housing. I have partnered with a modular builder and want to raise capital for a new modern factory. Would this be the kind of offering Rialto could assist with? Easy question.
Let's see. Yes, we could. We'll bring the team together. We'll get Doug on board as well, and yes, we'd be more than happy to speak with them.
And then one more for each of the issuers. Greta is asking, does BulletID use quantum dot technology? I hope you know what that is, because I don't.
It's a good question. I don't understand that technology either.
Okay, so I guess the answer is no.
We use PDF 417 barcode.
Great, thank you so much. And then Joe, a simple question: what's the secret sauce for McGinley? What's the difference between how you do things and how they've been done in the past? If you could speak to it at all.
Yeah, well, this is disruptive technology. We essentially took sensor technology, robotics, and put it in the surgeon's hands. So instead of bringing $1 million robot that's not cost effective into the operating room, we said, how can we make your surgeon better? Just like we use our smartphones and in everyday life to make our lives easier and better, we took that same concept and applied it in orthopedics. The products and technologies they use for an orthopedic surgery have not changed in decades in this particular segment of the market. The orthopedic power drills, besides the battery being a little bit smaller or lighter, hasn't changed in probably 30 years. So we're taking an advancement forward to say we're going to make something that's not 5% lighter or 2% cheaper. We're going to make something that's better for patients. It's safer. And with our technology, what it does is stops automatically. So when they're drilling through bone, it stops automatically and then tells them exactly what size screw they need. Believe it or not, that sounds like a simple concept. Believe it or not, that process is 100% manual right now. And you're really at the mercy of your surgeon and the accuracy of their assessment for those particular surgeries. So yeah, that's what we're trying to do. Again, we have plenty of videos and commentary on our site at invest.mcginleyorthopedics.com. And as these questions roll in, whatever we don't get to today, I'd be glad to follow up with whoever has questions. So,
thank you.
Thank you.
So now we're coming to the end. We've only got a few minutes left. I'd like to go around the horn. Maybe Bruce, I can start with you. Any last comments or asks that you have?
Yes, thank you very much. Just to let you know, I'm not the best public speaker that there is out there, but I have been in this barcode business for my whole life. For the last 40 years, I was in the barcode business, so I understand it as good as anybody else in this whole wide world. I was part of the team that brought the Universal Product Code, the UPC code, to the supermarkets of the world. Symbol Technology, who I was partners with at many years of my life, and they developed the UPC code that you see in every single supermarket worldwide. I challenge you to find me one that does not have it. You can't find one. They developed the PDF 417 code, and I was given the exclusive rights for that code for the world. However, I chose it for a certain type of packaging, and then I brought it into the BulletID Corporation, and that's the code. So what I did at the supermarket, what I witnessed at that supermarket, from no code to code everywhere, is the exact same thing I'm doing with the ammunition business. There is no code on an ammunition business. And at the end of the day, there will be a code on every single piece of ammunition it made in this world, and the world can go to bed at night and go to sleep. They'll be safe. They don't have to worry about driving a car and getting shot with stray bullets or kids in the playground. And I've dedicated my whole life to making this all happen. So I have all this experience. I have videos on this. I have the first laser etch piece of equipment made in this whole wide world. So I understand this business better than anybody else will ever understand it. Again, I'm not the best public speaker, but I understand it, and I have a team that's unbelievable that backs me up all the way. Thank you very much, and thank you, Rialto. You're doing a great job. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, Bruce. Your experience really is second to none. It's been great working with you and getting to know you. Doug, I'll go to you next.
Look, I would just say that for a lot of these companies, a lot of them might default to trying to find like a VC firm or something like that to invest in them. Ultimately, these types of programs, Reg A's, Reg D's, Reg CFs, are really providing a vehicle for companies to bypass that. You're going to get a better valuation going to the public and democratizing access into your company. If you've got the right team in place, this can be accomplished. And then I think too, when you look at social media, you look at the fact that a lot of these companies come in with affinity groups already built in. They just need the vehicle to go reach these people and start raising money. Again, that's what these programs allow you to do. So again, it's an exciting time in the industry. You guys know, Rialto's been around a while. You're all professionals that, obviously, where we were and where we are now. And I think it's just getting that across to people that there's some really fantastic opportunities that if you do need to raise capital, there's programs available that are fairly straightforward to deploy under, and they're going to give you the capability to solicit these people, raise money, and then manage these people very effectively on your cap table. So it's an exciting time in the industry, and it was a long time coming, but we're all excited to see where we are now as far as the programs and the technology, and really appreciate being on this podcast.
Yeah, we appreciate you being on it as well. It's great working with you as well. Joe, once again, last but not least.
Yeah, thanks, Rob. Bruce, I really like the passion, that's for sure. And congratulations on all the work you've done. Yeah, it's been great being on this panel here today. You know, for our company, you know, we're providing an opportunity for individuals to be involved with changing the standard of care in medicine. Rarely do you get that opportunity through an investment. You can bring a product to your community that's not currently available, and you or a family member may be unfortunate enough to need this at some day. So, you know, we're trying to get more individuals involved and allow them the opportunity to participate in this. We're obviously very excited and very bullish about it. We've already seen the results in surgeons that are using the technology, how much better this makes the surgery, less costly, safer, faster, which means better outcomes for everyone involved. So, you know, we're taking an investment that really was only available to very wealthy individuals previously and making it available to everyone. And at the same point in time, advertising and marketing what we're doing. And that's what the Reg A is for us. And we're excited to be part of it and continue to lead the way. As you lead the way, obviously there's bumps in the road as you're doing this, but you know, we're all innovators, right? Everyone on this call that are asking these questions, they're innovating or else they wouldn't be here. Bruce is an innovator. And by doing so, you know, there's risk and there's learning curves when you're doing that. And that should be expected. This isn't easy. This isn't something that, you know, you should take lightly, but it's definitely worthwhile, you know, if you're invested and dedicated to the process. So thanks again. And again, I'd appreciate any questions I can answer afterwards.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. And thank all the panelists. This has really been a terrific panel and a terrific webinar. Like Joe said, we'll try to get to your questions. I'll distribute them to the right people and we will get them to you. We will have all of this on our YouTube channel. You can go to YouTube, you can go to rialtomarkets.com. You can also go to rialtomarkets.com to check out BulletID and McGinley or track down their websites as well. They're great companies and great people. So thank you everybody for coming and have a great night.